Okay, so next we're moving on to individual or chain of thought prompting. So for the first prompt, I have create a table for the technical specifications involving prompt engineering. And you would input that exact prompt and you would understand the difference between adding parentheses in terms of in between clauses or adding quotes in terms of create a table in quotes, technical specifications in quotes, prompt engineering in quotes. Next, we have how many different ways can this large language model summarize text? And then we inputted next line so that we can make sure we understand the difference between bulk text and formatting in terms of when we add spaces and how that inputs the output that you're getting. And then after adding that next line, we said provide advanced technical details related to the current version of ChatGPT, which would be GPT 5.0. And then for the next prompt, we said, are there any capabilities adjacent to extractive summarization, abstractive summarization, sentence compression, and keyword extraction that may be useful to be informed about in open parentheses outside of text summarization? So this was a really interesting one. It said, are there any capabilities adjacent to these different ways we can summarize text that may be useful to be informed about, unrelated to text summarization? And the last prompt was elaborate on text classification, part of speech tagging, and dependency parsing. The concept of feeding the model and activating latent space. So this was a note in terms of input and output. Remember, input is just as important as output. Output is just as important as input. So when the model is responding, it's also going to be able to query that in the future in terms of how it understands next token prediction based on the preference that you included in how you're responding to the output that it's generating. And we said starting a session without context requires you to pre-buffer the necessary heuristics to narrow the wide space of potential next token activation. Have it write explanations and expand through examples, alternatives, suggestions, compare and contrasts, and differences, or feed the model using text to shape the latent default space by narrowing the next possible token. That's bulk copy and pasting.